So it is recording. I think you guys have to click something.
Right.
Okay, everybody okay?
Yep. What are we
Okay,
going to talk about?
This is the She Writes Press Facebook Help Each Other session, very informal session. And the reason this came about is at Brooks office hours a week ago, I was actually wanting to ask other people who were running Facebook ads if they had noticed a decline in their effectiveness, because about a month ago I noticed that, and I didn't really get an answer, but then I thought, well, okay, I'll invite people who maybe are using Facebook ads or who wanted to learn a little. Again, I'm just I feel I'm kind of a beginner with a tiny bit of intermediate experience. And then I suggested that people bring questions, and if you can, answer your own question, or we can put it out there to each other. I will, what I would like to do is just start by answering my own question, because I did find an answer, which surprised me and also gave me some assurance that my own crude way of monitoring my Facebook ads was working, because it gave me a signal that it wasn't working. And I'll send you guys some links.
Yeah, I saw the links in the Facebook group today.
Oh, yes, I put that in there. Yeah, I found this article written. It's, Meta advertisers say automated system has been glitchy for weeks. So there's been some big, humongous problem with Facebook ads starting, or that article was published on April 10th, and it said for a couple of weeks before that. So if you're thinking about doing Facebook ads right now, would not be a good time, I think, to get started. And really, consequently, I was thinking, I think our main question to each other and often to ourselves is, how can I reach more readers? And so really that's a question.
I have one question.
Sure.
So somehow my author page is linked to my personal Facebook. So somehow I just log into mine, and then there's a little thing with my circle, but then it's just not very straightforward sometimes.
They used to not have that, but now they are, they are connected in that way. But really, it's just, I believe it's mainly two reasons. One, it makes it easy for you to switch back and forth. And then another newer feature, at least I hadn't noticed it before, is it makes it easier. It's not always recommended to cross-post, to post the same thing at each one. I believe an advantage of doing that. I try not to do it. I mean, I try to keep them a little bit separate, although sometimes I'll post a personal post, and I'll go ahead and cross-post it to my author page. And that makes it easy to do that. I think when you do that, I haven't checked, but how if you get likes that all show up on your personal page, but I think they stay separate in separate channels. I just see that Andrea is here. Okay, great.
Oh.
Yay, I just let her in. She might,
Okay.
Hey. Hello, Andrea. Welcome.
Hello. I'm trying to, okay, here we
Great.
go.
Okay, wonderful to see you. Yeah, we've just we weren't sure if you were going to make it, but really glad that you did. Yeah.
Okay.
And I am recording it because I told the other people, and I just said, well, number one, welcome everybody. And our goal here is to help each other, not just with Facebook really, but I think the main question we all have is, how can I reach more readers? And I'm not saying we'll answer, that perfectly, but I've been running Facebook ads for a few months, and the main reason I brought up my question during Brooks' office hours is I wanted to know if other people were experiencing a decline in the effectiveness of their ads in the last month or so. And that answer, we weren't able to answer that. But then I went out and I found this article, maybe you saw it, I posted it on on our secret page, but entitled Meta Advertisers Say Automated System Has Been Glitchy for Weeks. And that came out April 10th. So I think it's worth reading. It's not, I mean, basically, if you are running ads right now, you might want to, stop them. And certainly I wouldn't recommend starting them right now.
Well, you know, when I just started mine, when I launched my book.
Oh, and that was what date, Jude?
Well, right then.
Around April.
Yeah.
Oh.
Maybe Jude, it's you that made it glitchy.
Yeah, I do great things.
Well, yeah, if your ads are so good, one of the
Right.
hypotheses.
Well, no, I mean, I did it because they've been so recommended, and so I had been planning with my publicist to start them. We talked about starting before the launch and at the launch, and then we decided, back in March to start with the launch. So it was all set up and it started then. So I don't really have a good basis to compare. I can say that, well, I mean, when you're saying that, I mean, this is an interesting question. What is it that's declined? Is it the sales or is it the clicks and the impressions?
I crudely track I use the Amazon ranking.
Yeah, the attribution.
I track that, and then I also use my sales, but I have not done a real careful analysis.
Right, but which of the things went down? Is it the sales specifically, or is it also the clicks and the impressions?
The sales and the clicks and impressions went down for me. So, but again, I don't want to pretend like I've been doing a rigorous analysis of that. But it was enough that I turned off my Facebook ads before I knew what was going on. And I don't think I'm the right person to answer that. And they're possibly still, but you might ask your publicist that question. Share the article or.
Yeah, I will. Yeah. I mean, I've had these astronomical, you probably heard me talking about it.
Oh, yes. Yes, right.
So whatever you're doing is
like millions of impressions in India, but basically Brooke was saying that I have to wait. Is this true? Actually, you both would have, you already have a book in, actually, do you, Andrea? I can't remember if you already.
Nope, this is my first.
So it would be bad. That you can only get sales figures on ebooks after a month, and they're only once a month. Did I get that right?
I think that's approximately correct.
Okay, because the other ones you can get once a week if you wanted to, so all of that meant that I can't get sales figures on the ebooks in India till the end of May. So I'm in this holding pattern. I actually stopped the ads, not because, but just because I don't know, right? Like
you did or did not?
I stopped them.
Oh, okay.
Because I mean, well, they were scheduled to run for a month, and so we just stopped them. Kind of said, okay, let's just find out if there were any sales. I mean, if you have 2 million impressions and 0 sales, it's not worth even $5 a day.
I would say unless those are bots, you've got to have some sales, but I'll be curious.
Well, they could very well be bots. That's the problem.
Wow. So Andrea, so I kind of have answered my question about the decline.
Right. So you figured out, and I didn't get to read the article, BethAnn, does it say that they're working on it, it's going to be resolved, or you just have to keep
a
waiting?
Big frustration apparently is that Meta, that is Facebook, is lips tight, not saying anything.
Yeah. One
hypothesis expressed in the article is that there was some big advertising blitz out of China. I don't remember the details on it. And it did really well, and people speculated that and it wasn't just books, so but speculated that because it did so well, everybody else did poorly. But that has not been taught, they haven't really, it's not proven.
Yeah, they probably won't be. I mean, to be honest.
Yeah, I doubt if we'll.
Even if they know, they're unlikely to put it out publicly.
Yeah. I mean, it's not in there. It's definitely bad for them. So I'm assuming they would be trying to fix it.
Well, not if they make more money the other way.
How's that?
Well, if China's paying, right, a
Oh,
lot of money
right.
to advertise, right?
But if
Yeah,
all of the people that were advertising on Facebook go somewhere else, I would think that would be not in their best interest. But
yeah.
I know several people are new, and I also wanted to just say, you probably have already heard this, the most important audience to build is your email list. And I wondered if, if you guys have questions about how to do that. Do you
I
have,
listened to Brooke on that one.
what's
and
that?
Said not, I just listened to Brooke on that one recently, and it was, it was a no. So I'm like, phew, I don't have to do that.
Oh, Brooke said no. It was that I missed that last,
This was, I don't know, a month ago, maybe. It was in one of the Substack discussions, and
Mm.
at least this is how I understood it. People were and in fact, I finally started Substack, and that's why I was listening. But
Mhm.
people were saying, well, what do you do if you've got your Substack and your newsletter? How do you put that together? And she said, well, that's the problem, because she said, how did she put it? She said, I don't remember the numbers, but it was like thousands of people you heard that too, on
Yep.
her news letter email list. And she didn't have their permission to move them over into Substack, but but Substack is so much better in her view than emails were. And she said, somebody was asking her, and she was saying, well, if it was me now, I would choose Substack, and I just wouldn't even do the emails and the newsletter. Problem is, I've already got it, and I've got all these people, and so I'm stuck with two. So I'm thinking, oh, good, I don't have to be stuck with two.
This is strange because I don't know if you guys, this was a couple months ago, she had Dan Blank on, who is the Substack, her guru, and I heard him say it was easy and not a problem to move your email list over. I'll go check my notes
Check
on
that
that.
one, because she was saying that she didn't have their permission to, like, once
Oh,
you sign
yeah.
up for something, you can't use that name on some
Mm,
address.
yeah.
Although I have heard other people, somebody recently, one of my clients, I think, said, oh yeah, I dumped all my, my newsletter people into my Substack.
And
I'm thinking, wow.
Substack certainly has the import capability to take it, it's kind of designed for that. Because in my opinion, right, if you're doing let's say a monthly newsletter and you've got your, 300 people, if you tell them I'm converting to Substack and you were, and just bring it over, and you can easily unsubscribe if you don't want it. That
Did you
seems,
hear her say that, Andrew?
I totally did hear her and Dan talk about, the protocol and the politeness. And then I forget someone on the call signed me up for their Substack, because everyone that was on that, and I think she did it to everyone. I was like, well, I heard that you weren't supposed to do this, but it just seems like a email list of people that you already have that maybe you would think of as your close friends, that if I had something, I would be comfortable enough to convert it. But if I had done all this work and maybe it was Brooke and had thousands of
She said
people,
she had, like, I don't remember whether it was 3,000 or it was a
Yeah.
huge number. And so maybe it's different if you've got your 30 or 300 people that you know.
right, that you go, yeah, they've been listening to me for a year or two. I'm just telling them I'm changing my platform, and
Yeah.
but yeah.
And of course, I think you guys all know this too, though. The other reason to have that, to really guard and value your e-list, is that social media can just cut you off. And about 2 years ago, something went wrong, and it was probably 4 years ago, but I almost had to start over, and there's no way I could get that readership back, or I would have to start from scratch. And so keep that in mind. That's why I think the email list is so valuable.
And I think, I don't know if Dan Blank talked about it on the call that he had, or if, because I'm a subscriber to his Substack, but he maybe a month ago had instructions to back up your list on Substack too. And so it was
Yes.
really easy through these 3 steps so that you save it on into an Excel file, because he said you just should be doing that so that you've got it just in case Substack goes, you know, down or something. So I did do those steps and
Oh,
felt
good
good.
for you. And
Okay, I've got
exciting
an
that I
Excel.
just signed up for your Substack, Andrea.
I saw that,
Can't wait.
BethAnn, and thank you for your
Yeah, you bet, you
email.
bet.
Right, we're woodpecker friends.
That's right.
Jude.
For life, yeah.
Yep.
Well,
yep.
I'm definitely a naysayer then on the newsletter, and I'm just thinking about for me, one reason is I don't have an email list to begin with. I
Yeah,
have probably,
I
you know,
didn't either.
1,000 emails in my email list that are clients and stuff, and they're not an email list because none of them have, you know, they're just people whose emails are in my email and have given no permission for anything. So I'm certainly not going to do that. So I would be starting with 0. And I ran this by, at my age, and I ran this by my publicist actually, because when I upgraded my web, I'm just giving, you know, if we're giving different views for
Yes.
people who are watching this is a valid view, even if nobody else wants to do it. Which is, I was updating my website, and my web designer did not put in, you know, a catch thing for emails. And so I was asking my publicist whether, you know, is that something I need to do? And she said no. So, you know, like that was another like, okay.
Well, you know, and Jude, I think if you're getting 1 million hits without that, then maybe that
Right.
doesn't apply to you, but I don't get 1 million hits. So I'm,
Well, you probably would if you know, went to India with them. But I mean, I don't think she necessarily, I didn't really ask her why she said no. I guess because she knew that I was interested in, for one thing, that she knew that I was interested in, as soon as I had time, that I wanted to start a Substack, and I was sort of committed to that. And then she knew that I didn't want to do a newsletter separate from Substack. So then there was like, okay, what would I, you know, for events and stuff? I mean, social media, I mean, there did, I guess we did, like I said, I'm sort of second guessing why she was saying don't get emails. I think she's younger. She was maybe saying that people, you know, this is like the new thing is you don't, you know, going forward, you're not going to.
well, you know, go ahead, Andrea. Yeah.
Well, so what I did, what my website does, it says, you want to join, sign up for my newsletter. And that has the direct hook to, they put their email address in and it signs them up to Substack. It's a once and done, my little website designer, there's Substack instructions that it's this, you embed this code kind of thing. So Jude, there isn't a separate step that I do on my website. It says, you want to sign up for my newsletter, which I direct everyone to. They put in their email and it puts them onto Substack without them really even knowing kind of, but that's what they've said is how you do it. You don't say you want to sign up to Substack because no one really
knows what Substack is.
Yes, and it kind of scares people, right? It sounds like something, you know, of, oh no, I don't want to sign up for something I'm going to get a bunch of junk mail on.
Well,
so maybe your website.
Right. No, that's a really good point. That's really good point. And what you're making me realize, and which is what I'm looking at over here now, is because I only started the Substack thing after the book launch, and I've only written one, and it's only been a few weeks. And I can't remember, because my plan was to have that on the website. And now I'm thinking, did I ever do anything about that? And I'm
right. There's so many things.
Yeah. Now I'm looking and I'm like, okay, I don't think I actually got it there. So yeah, so
and I do think one of the things this brings up is that depending on your ideal reader, so my ideal reader, I think, is more going to be on Facebook and interested in a newsletter, or possibly. But if you're dealing with a really young audience, then, and I don't know if you are, Jude, but then maybe that advice would apply, that they're not going to be as into email. I know my son, you know, does texting more than emailing and so on.
Yeah. Well, my complication is I have 3 different books, and this first book is for young people, younger people, the second book is for older, you know, so I kind of have to probably catch all of those. But yeah, I'm looking on, yeah, so I should look at your site. How did you, like, is it a form thing where it pops up that, or
On mine, it's
does
at
your
the
actual,
bottom of the,
Yeah.
yeah, it's at the bottom
Mine
of
too.
every email I send through. I use
no, but I'm asking
Squarespace,
about I get that, but the website thing.
same
So
thing.
mine just says sign up for my newsletter, and it has the email address, and as I said, the people that did my website design were,
Mhm.
I said, I want Substack connected, and they were like, okay, and they went on to Substack and found the in code, you know, I was on a
Right.
Zoom with them.
You're right. So can people, like, you know how like you used to have a blog that would be sitting in your website and you didn't have to like leave to go,
Right.
now you have to leave to go.
Yeah, so I don't know what it looks like for them.
Well, tell me, what's your
I
site? I'll look for it. Yeah.
I
Oh.
have been thinking, so it's
Right.
AndreaEzrins.com
Yeah,
is
I'm
my,
just going there.
I have been thinking, because right, you were correct that people's blogs or newsletters show
You
up
could
on their
read it.
website, and mine don't. And you know, I'm like, God, there's not much on my website. But next time I have a call with them, I was going to ask them if I could maybe, if they could put a couple of my newsletters on there, so there's something
Well, you know,
for people.
I guess I'm
looking at
Andrea,
it.
I'm planning to switch from, I use Squarespace as mentioned, and then I have a blog page, and I also send out a newsletter, but I am planning to switch to Squarespace. But I like having everything archived, you know, and I have a photo associated, and I like in
Right.
that library there. And I hadn't thought
Yes,
about
yeah,
whether,
I went on your website, right, it was very nice to pick, and you know, the right blogs that I want, I was like, oh, that sounds interesting, and I was
woodpeckers,
able
yeah,
to
or
pick up,
birds, or
right,
yeah.
right.
So I'll have to find that out before I make the switch.
Right.
I like
one
your
other,
site. I'm looking at it now. It's really nice, but it's very clean. But you're right. It's just sign up for a newsletter, which doesn't give me any like view of what you've actually written. So I think this is helpful. I'm going to go and ask my web person
Right,
how to integrate it. And I've only written one, so it's not too late. But
yeah, right,
there used to be this way, like I have clients who write Psychology Today blogs, and even if it's sitting in Psychology Today, it can
yeah,
look like it's integrated in, like the person who's not
okay, so
knowledgeable
I'm gonna
about where
ask,
it's going,
okay,
looks like it's sitting in there. And I'm wondering if the same thing can be done with Substack.
okay, yeah, be linked to, yeah, okay, I'm gonna ask my guys
Me
that
too.
too.
Also,
Hey,
the other thing I thought we could help each other with, and Shigeko, I want you to feel free to ask any questions. I know you said you're really new to all this, but you know, there's several people I've followed and gotten a lot of help from on Facebook meta ads when they were working, and I just thought I'd share some of those names and ask you guys
please
if you
do.
have any.
Can I ask you before you do, Beth
Sure.
Ann? Are these the people that like helped you? You had to design your own ads? I'm just starting that, and I'm going back to see my notes on Matthew Holmes and stuff.
Yes,
And
yeah.
is that how you kind of?
I've done all my own ads just because I like doing that, and I actually use PowerPoint, not Canva. I tried using Canva, but I really know PowerPoint. It's, you know, I've got them all
Okay.
organized by dimensions and so on, and I have my own graphics. But and again, I do that partially because I take a lot of photos and I can use
Yeah.
them. And it's not
Okay.
it's not too onerous, although every now and then I freak out and I'm like, boy, I'd love to have a graphic designer looking over his shoulder. But so Matthew J. Holmes is one of the top people, but he just also posted that the Facebook ads method that he has been teaching for, you know, I think more than 3 years and developing longer than that. Matthew J. Holmes is really just a wonderful mentor. He has a paid class, but he also gives away a lot of really good webinar training. And
Yeah.
what I really believed in and applied and that was working for me is his he has recommended using the dynamic creative. This is in Facebook business meta ads, and he's got what's called his 3-2-2-1 method, but that has stopped working for him. So he is temporarily switching over to activating Kindle Unlimited, which is something I don't even know if we can do that, which I don't think we can.
No, we can't,
So,
because he's doing that because he's an indie and he's not a
right,
press.
right.
Yeah.
And he's sort of doing it reluctantly, but it's because the Facebook algorithm is failing right now to work as previously designed. But he is still and he's someone, oh, you can I get his newsletter, and he really is just so, he's succinct and very thoughtful and seems to share everything. I mean, it's just a delight. I'm gearing up to pay for his class, because also especially if things are changing a lot, I may go ahead and do that. And then another person I find really helpful, although I haven't used him as much recently, is David Gaugran, spelled Gaugghran, and he's more general marketing advice for self-publishers, which we're not, but so much of it applies, I think.
Yes. Yeah.
And he also talks about BookBub ads, which I am gearing up to do. I haven't done one, but I keep hearing good things from our fellow She Writes Press authors.
Right.
And then another person I think that
Hang on, you've got a question here.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So I have my website for, running for about a year and a half, maybe close to. And then there's a section that says, subscribe to be notified, whatever. But people don't subscribe for some reason. That's not how you.
Well, are you sending anything out to an email list, or are you?
Well, the thing is, I'm very unpredictable in terms of what when I'm not doing it very consistently. I have like a blog that was, and also articles that's being published or something, linked to my own website.
Have you tried, are you on Facebook? Do you have a Facebook presence?
Not really. I mean, I did create author's page, but it's linked to my personal thing. I never
That's
go back.
okay. No, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah,
But,
that's what you have to
you
do.
can invite people from Facebook to your blog. Now, I've done that, and I get a little bit, but that's, if you have a post you've made that you think that your
Right.
personal friends will like,
Right.
you can
My
say,
understanding is that's why Substack is the become what it's become, at least at this moment, which is it grows organically, which something like
it's really
Facebook
good
at this point won't do, because you have to post and pay for the, that's why people aren't liking things on an author page, because they don't allow you to see it unless you pay to boost it.
Oh, I see.
Oh, but I was saying, Jude, I was saying, I think it's fine to share your writing with your friends, on your personal page. Now, you don't want to do that all the time, because then they might, but if you've written something that has a general interest that you're excited about, but I will say that when I do that, I suspect I get so few likes. I think when you put a link into your personal page that directs the Facebook readers to a different site, the algorithm doesn't share it very broadly. So that's not great, but it is one way to get a little of traffic.
But if you're doing it on Substack, and then you're also going out, and the thing is, writing and never reading other people's thing, it doesn't work, right? But if you go onto Substack and you're reading somebody else's thing, and you make a comment, and then they go immediately and see your thing, and then they sign up for, that's how people, and I barely started, but I see how that, I actually had followers before I'd written anything, just because I'd made a few comments on things.
And what I've done that seems to be fairly successful is that when I do have my Substack newsletter, because it gives you all the social media little images and such that I posted on my Facebook authors page that never gets any likes and doesn't get, but then I boost that, and that seems, with the link to my website that then says sign up for, I mean, it's a little convoluted, but I do it for a week and spend $30 or $40, and it seems like, and I think we talked about it a little bit, trying to get beyond your friend group. And so that's getting these people that I look at and I go, I don't know who they are at all, but okay, they've signed up, and that's kind of, hopefully will get, who knows if they'll buy a book, but you don't even know if your friends are going to buy a book, so it's better than
Absolutely. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's a good story.
And so, but I've done, so right, boosting a post seems, Facebook makes it too easy, really, but the ad is, I haven't done an ad, and the only difference is really that I could create it within the Meta suite, or that
But it's way more expensive,
is it?
complicated or complex, I would say, than
Okay.
Boost is just like,
Right, they make it too easy, that's what I said.
The person who's doing my publicist, who turned out, I didn't even know this until I worked with my publicist for like 3 or 4 months, that one of the people is a specialist in Facebook ads. So,
Wow.
so I like wanted to take advantage of that. And I finally got him to walk me through it. And I saw, it's doable, but it's, I guess, because you do it, Beth, but it's not, he did it. He recorded our conversation like this. We recorded this session, so I could go back and look. Actually, that's making me think, I don't know if I'm saying too much here, but that this whole thing with Matt and how his strategy and his non-targeting strategy that he really, really stressed, which now apparently we have to sort of toss out the door. Interestingly enough, my Facebook person did not, what do I say?
subscribe to that.
Did not.
Did not subscribe to his method?
Yes, did not subscribe to that idea. However, I was kind of strong, and they're very respectful. And since I said, well, she writes press and da 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 da, this is understood. And they're like, okay, well, if you want to do that, of course we can do that. And now I'm coming back to them and saying, well, it didn't really work. But now I don't know, of course, whether the reason it wasn't really working well is because of this whole other bigger meta issue. But it could actually be intertwined. It could be that issue and the non-targeting thing didn't work well together. So we were actually just going to switch, or just barely started to switch into some targeting, which I don't know yet. It's way too soon to know if it worked, but it was interesting because I also felt that what was happening in the month, even though the sales were pretty dismal, was that Facebook seemed to be showing my ads primarily to my friends, and and like the universe that was types of people like my friends, age group of my friends, that and as soon
Facebook does not, when I do the meta ads, it does not show it to my friends, or very rarely.
Well, friends type. In other words, older women, that kind of thing. It was going to older women, basically. And in this particular book, I want to target younger people. So
targeting might be,
specifically this time, picked out the older women. And I too early to see, but I immediately saw some likes from some younger people.
I wanted to go back to the comment about the meta ads, dynamic creative, and Matthew J. Holmes' method. He has a 3-part video series that's free. I watched that probably 12 times. I mean, and every time, and then I figured out what section I really needed to rewatch whenever I did a new ad. But I also really came to believe that what he was doing made sense to me, as a, mathematically, because, and also my son's just got his degree in computer science, and I think the whole AI, the use of AI,
Yeah.
does make sense that you know, if you just back then, now I'm saying something screwed up about their algorithm right now. It really, it does learn, it was able to learn the audience that was more likely to, you know, hit the buy now button. And also that 3-2-1 method, I really statistically, I have a little bit of background, you know, it made sense to me. And if you got, if I can just quickly explain, you know, the 3-2-1 method is you create 3 creative images or videos. And also I did have one video that I created 3 versions of that did so well, but you create 3 graphics, and then you have 2 headlines, 2 descriptions, and 1, I've forgotten the name of the other thing. And then using the dynamic creative, it mixes and matches those into 12 different ads.
Yeah,
And
that's what I
then,
did.
yeah, and it's
Yeah.
very, you know, it makes sense to me that should work, you know,
Should.
assuming the algorithm hasn't
Yeah.
spazzed out. But and again, for me, I saw that effect, but I will say it is a little bit complicated and yet doable, I think, if you're willing to take the time to watch those videos. And so I'm going to keep tabs on Matthew J. Holmes and see what he does next, but obviously I'm not going to switch to Kindle Unlimited because that's not an option. So I'm just going to back off right now. I'm going to work on other approaches.
Yeah, my person, Jared, he did the same, you know, it's just, I think it's pretty standard, and that's exactly what he did. But I can say for sure that it was, you know, it was sending it to, you know, my friends and people like my friends for sure, and not getting to the people who it was, you know, intended for, or who would be interested more in it.
Yeah, it used to be that you could choose your friends, but now, I mean, more and more I realize, you know, my friends have already seen and heard everything from me. They don't need my ads, you know.
I know,
Right.
that's why it was annoying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Stop this.
yeah.
Stop this. Yeah, frustrating. It's definitely frustrating to see that.
Okay, so does anybody else have other people they follow or suggestions that we could share?
Well, I would say
each
that my
other?
person, you know, I mean, he's good. You know,
How much do
And
you
does
pay? You
he
have to pay him
freelance?
though. How
Yeah,
much do you
yeah.
pay for that?
I don't know, I don't know if I want, I'd
Oh,
say
you
that
don't have to say, but
contact
that's
me
my
about that.
thing is
I'll say this, it is incredibly reasonable. Incredibly reasonable.
And does he do it outside your package of publicity? Is he a freelancer,
Well,
Julie?
so my publicist is Julia from Webbound,
Yeah.
and she's basically her own, you know, her own agency, but her husband works with her, and it's her husband. And this
Okay.
is just, he's done my graphics. So it's sort of a 2-part thing, in the sense like he's been doing my graphics as part of my publicity package. So when I went to him and said, you know, found out that he also did this, he already had the graphics. So he didn't have to, you know, there was a lot he didn't have to create.
What is his last name?
Jared Drake, but it's under Wildbound, you know.
And he would do it if I've got another publicist, he'll do the Facebook ad piece.
Well,
Okay.
if they have time, but yeah, I mean, you know, I can't speak for how much time they have, but yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's what I was looking for, you know, coming to the end of, you know, the 4 or 5, 6 months or whatever, you know, of publicity for the die, and then going, okay, now what do I do? You know, we finished this, and so I'm starting to think about, you know, what do I do for marketing? And then I said, well, you know, I was sort of throwing out that I do maybe, you know, go into doing Facebook ads, and Juliet is like, oh, well, that's one of Jared's specialties.
Yeah.
So, you know,
And
they didn't put it out there, like he's not advertising
Yeah,
that
right.
he does this. It's not, I don't think, on their website or anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know,
And is there any crossover to Amazon ads and such? Is there, okay.
Yeah, this thing called
it's-
attribution that, oh, Amazon ads, you not sales.
Well, yeah, no, yeah, right, not the, right, watching sales, but right, you know, has Beth Ann or Jude, you've done any Amazon ads?
I
Do
haven't done
they-
Amazon ads mainly because most of what I've read say they're more expensive for the outcome. And so I've just thought I can only learn one right now. So I've stuck
Yeah.
with, but if
Okay, and
if
that's
this
what I've
Facebook
heard, that
issue, yeah.
Facebook ad seems better for our
Yeah,
thing,
although
but.
in that discussion in the group today, somebody, at least one person said, oh, I thought Amazon ads are better now or something. So, I mean, I think it's
Oh.
unknown. And I was actually going to ask Jared what he thought about that. Like,
Yeah.
especially if there's something going on with Facebook. I mean, maybe that is,
Right,
one thing that
okay.
I didn't realize is, and until we did this session, that I did with him, last week, was that when you're doing Facebook ads, it's actually including Instagram, and I didn't realize that.
Well, you can choose to do that or not. So when you go
Right, but I
through
didn't even realize that.
you have the choice, and
You can do
Matthew
one,
J.
both,
Holmes
or
recommends
neither.
against it, but you know, it's each person can decide if they.
But I didn't know that, is what I'm saying.
Oh, right.
Maybe other people also didn't realize that when you're going in there to do your Facebook ad, you could do, in fact, we even talked about, maybe I shouldn't do any Facebook ads and just do the Instagram ads, which would still be done through the same program. I
Right,
didn't know
right.
that till a few days ago.
Mhm. Well, you guys, we have 13 more minutes, and Shigeko, again, I just want you to not feel too shy about asking questions if we can, you know, and I wanted to go back to another piece of advice I think that's so important about your Facebook personal page is to put your real self out there, you know, and your author page is a little different, but you also want to be very real on your author page. And oh, another thing, I didn't know this when I first did my first Facebook ad, I only had something like just 90 followers on my author page, even though I think at that time I had 800 personal, and it just went nowhere. And now I don't think that's quite as important, but I believe somewhere I read it was like you needed to have at least 120 followers, or there was some, I don't even think that's right
There is
anymore,
some minimum, I
yeah,
remember
yeah.
reading something about that.
And it probably
What?
changes,
Yeah.
but you might want to check on that
You
before,
mean about in order for what?
in order to get any reach.
Right,
I
so
don't know
that
if
was
that's
the
true
thing that I
anymore, because-
checked with my publicist about, who said, she said it used to be like, I don't know, 5 years ago or some, figure like that. She said there was organic growth was allowed. So if you would put posts on your author page, it would generate itself, and people, it would bring people to it. And she said they've cut the algorithm so drastically that doesn't, there's no more, or basically no more organic
I
growth.
believe it. It's
Only
oh,
through
yeah.
pay, because they want you to pay.
Mhm,
And in
mhm.
fact, didn't Brooke say something about this also recently, that they set it up, it's basically a setup so that you have to pay in order to get growth. You really can't do it otherwise.
And that was
I mean,
also
that's
my
part of,
question to her, is that I felt like it really, I used to get a lot more
yeah,
likes on my author page, but it's really dropped to almost none.
that's what Julia said. I mean, and she said it like, not like she was wondering, more like she knew that, that was
Mhm.
a pretty clear thing. I mean, that's also sort of one of the motivations to do the Facebook ads for me originally was, well, okay, since I'm going to do them anyway, one benefit will be that, but now that's obviously not happening. Or at least now. Yeah. I mean, the other thing is this could all just change again too.
Right. No, yeah, I think following some of these mentors out there is really helpful, because I mean, again, it was Matthew J. Holmes who answered my question in his newsletter, just saying he's been shocked at how poorly they've done, and so they're switching their whole model for now.
But you were the one that put that Facebook post up, right? Or did you just contribute to it?
I contributed to it.
Okay.
I can't remember who started it, but I
Maybe
said,
it was somebody else. Because
Was
what
it-
I'm thinking, what I'm thinking is going forward, because we're not always going to have Zooms like this. It was really helpful if it was you or somebody else who posted that. Because when I saw it, I was like, oh, and then there's this whole great discussion. So as long as people, who like yourself get this information, because not everybody's even looking for it. And if you getting it and then sharing it, and that's really helpful.
yeah, okay. I did put that up there. And so again, the three that I find most helpful are Matthew J. Holmes, David Gauguin, and then Dave Chesson, again, is also very forthcoming. And I think he's spoken, yeah, he gave a presentation. Brooke had him come in. And I'll just send those names in an email and a link to that article as a follow-up. And then let's just, yeah, I think, Jude, you're right. We can, only thing is I don't always check my secret She Writes Press. I need to put that on my calendar just to routinely check it. But I think absolutely helping each other with news that might inform our advertising. Oh, another tip I read, which I think is so important, is to when it comes to spending money on ads, don't spend any money that you can't afford to lose. It really is kind of a gamble. And so pursue some of the free ways of just, getting out there, talking to people, meeting people, getting yourself out on social media, and writing a good book, which we've all done.
Mhm.
All right. Well, I don't want us to get cut off. Does anyone else have another question or way that you want us to follow up?
No, this was very helpful, right? Good
Yeah, I
to,
mean, it
Yeah,
ended up
I'm-
being really timely because when you first proposed this, none of us knew that there was any, thing going on perhaps with Facebook ads. And so it's a really timely conversation.
Oh, good. All right. Well, take care, everybody. And we all now have each other's emails, and let's follow each other on Facebook. Shigeko, we'll look for you. Maybe if you haven't already done it, send us both of your links for Facebook and we'll follow you.
yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Thanks, Beth.
Yes, you're
Yeah,
welcome.
thanks for setting this up, Beth. This is
Okay,
great.
you're so
Thanks.
welcome.
Good to
Take care,
talk.
everybody.
Bye-bye.